How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring along with me to talk about why I haven't invested in the G Master lenses and what alternatives I went for. So let's jump right into it. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen any of my videos, I pretty much have been reviewing a lot of the kind of Tamron lenses, Sigmas, even the cheaper Sony alternative of lenses, mainly because I never felt inclined of going for the G Master lenses with the price point that they are in and just for what you're getting out of them. Now, today I want to discuss a little bit more in depth of why I didn't really go for them and what alternatives I went for to see if this will help you out to know if you really want to go and invest money into the G Master lenses or if you want to just kind of find these cheaper alternatives that I went for that have really paid their dues and held up, in my opinion, to what I paid for them and what I get out of them. So the first thing I want to cover about why I didn't really go with the G Master lenses is just the price point. It didn't make sense for me to invest into it with my current kind of skills, I guess. So a little bit more in depth of that is I wanted to work more on having a good body and a decent lens that I could really learn more how to use this camera and just the composition, my coloring, and everything in between. My main thing when it came down to photography and videography was really just to understand basically how to just color grade better, get better at photography with composition, my color grading of the photos, and just really learn everything in between of this camera itself. And when it came down to the lenses, I started with a good amount of primes with my 35 Sigma. Kind of just out here and about with just a 28 to 75. Didn't really feel like bringing everything, but the quality of the build of a lot of these lenses are still pretty great for what price they are. They might not be as fast or whatever with the autofocus as these other lenses might be with the G Master series because it's a Sony native lens to a Sony native camera. But at the same time, I didn't really notice that big of a difference when it came down to the autofocus and things like that with these alternatives with the Tamrons and everything like that to be worth the sometimes over $1,000 worth of difference in price. So for me, it just didn't make sense to go into basically spending so much money on the bodies of my cameras and also of the lenses for what I was using them for. So now on average with these lenses, it comes down to about $900 new. Most of the lenses that I got them used under like $700 on average. So don't think that you have to go always for the most expensive lens itself. You can also look into the alternative of buying the G Master series, I guess, used as well to save some money that way. But I think that with these alternatives of the Tamrons, the Holy Trinity that I have with the 17 to 28 that I'm filming with, the 28 to 75 and the 70 to 180, kind of have all the bases covered with what it would equivalent to almost the price of maybe like at most 2 lenses of the G Master series, which isn't horrible if you think about it because obviously you're still getting great quality glass, but at the same time for me having this versatile kind of gear that I have just really helps me out to keep creating the things that I want to create and staying within budget that I can do it even more and more efficient and get more money out of it if it comes down to client jobs as well. So now the second thing that I want to cover of why I didn't really invest in the G Master series is basically the performance didn't really outweigh each other differently that I was really thinking it would be that big of a difference. When it came down to these Tamron lenses, I really have enjoyed the autofocus capabilities. I haven't really missed my shots that I need to miss anyway. The cameras themselves have helped out a lot when it comes down to the autofocus of them, so that's fine with me when it came down to these lenses. Even my Sony 85mm that's like a cheaper Sony brand lens of theirs, it's still phenomenal when it comes down to the autofocus, and it doesn't really hunt as much as people kind of make it seem with all these cheaper alternatives. Now the G Master series, I'm sure it's more, I guess, faster and everything in between, but I don't really think it justifies the means to just go only with the G Master lenses compared to with these lenses that are like in the more affordable line that you can get a little bit more of to cover more focal lengths that you want to use for when it comes down to your shooting. And now basically for me, the last factor of why I really went with these, I like the sizing a lot on these basically lenses. They're just the third-party lenses. They're a lot smoother in my opinion for sizing. Some of the Sony G Master series are a little bit bulkier from what I've seen and what I've held as well, that I really just like the sizing of these lenses. So for me, the best alternatives that I think you can kind of go with are going to be the Tamron lenses if you have Sony, or the Sigma versions as well. Though the Sigma, in my opinion, are a lot heavier than the Tamron. So if you're wanting to have a little bit more compact, feel and good build, I think the Tamron lenses are phenomenal lenses to have, especially if you're wanting to have a good range from the 17 to 28, 20 to 75, 71 to 80. I do love my prime lenses when it comes down to my Sigma 35mm. It is a little bit bulkier, but it still is phenomenal when it comes down to the photos that you can get out of it, and also the 85mm, which that one I think new is 550. So you can always just think about the price point compared to the sizing and see what works best for you. But I'm hoping that this is just something that can help you out when it comes down to choosing a better setup if you have a tighter budget and you're trying to debate if you want to get the G Master series lenses and spend more money that way, or if you want to diversify it a little bit and kind of get a little bit of everything in between. Oh, and by the way, here are a couple examples using all these lenses that I've used, and that way you can get an idea of how the photos look and see for yourself. And I just want to leave you with my final thoughts after just showing you those photos. Honestly, when it comes down to the form factor, the price, and just the size builds of all these lenses, I think it's phenomenal to compare them to just what you can get for your budget instead of just having to go with the G Master lenses. For me personally, I love that knowing that there's a third-party concept that I can use for my lenses when it comes onto my cameras that work phenomenally for the budget is just something great. And even it outperforms the budget in my eyes, honestly, compared to what you can get with the G Master lenses. I'm not saying that they're not worth every penny that you're going to invest into them, but I think it's good to have alternatives that work with your budget if you want to have more diversity when it comes onto your lenses, that you can perform and do more things with your photos and videos. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.